should never forget how young they were. 30 years ago, these three dared to confront an unimaginable evil. Stefan Gold was the youngest unit commander in Mossad. David Peretz had his 29th birthday while on the mission. Rachel Singer was only 25.
Kind of like your character, I feel like when it comes to actors, we put a certain sense of myth or legend to you guys. We put you guys up on a pedestal, and if you don't live up to that legend, we're almost disappointed in you guys. Are you ever afraid that you may not live up to the legend that is Helen Mirren?
No, because I think that I've always been pretty well, I've tried to be honest and straightforward about who I am. I'm not pretending in a way. Of course, when I'm acting, I'm very much pretending to be someone I'm not. But in the rest of my life, I've never really pretended to be anything that I'm not. So I, famous last words. And you know what? The other thing is, I was going to say, I don't know that, there will be some pulling down. Of course, that's always around the corner, and people, especially in this world of the internet and all the rest of it, there are knives and forks drawn everywhere around you, ready to kind of tuck in. But, the best thing is just to ignore it, basically. Just kind of carry on. Just live your life the way you want to live it, and just ignore that. Don't get caught up in it. Don't even deal with it. Don't read it. It's not an issue.
When we crossed through the checkpoint into Soviet-controlled East Berlin.
So first time in the field.
Good, that's good.
Welcome to the mission.
The fact that the agents are themselves almost actors because they have to play these parts to make the mission work, whether it's the part of a husband or of a wife. And things get dangerous whenever real, genuine emotions become involved.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. They're idealistic kind of young Mossad agents who, and it does. You're exactly right. The emotions is what once they kind of come out, everything can kind of change.
Right. For you as an actor, how real and how genuine do those emotions have to be successful?
We got lucky. We filmed it in sequence, all the stuff in the house. So as you start off as a happy family, everything's nice. You love the other actors, but 4 or 5 weeks in, you want to get out of that house.
Right. You seem very claustrophobic.
You got another actor spitting porridge at you. You want to get the hell out, and and so the emotions are kind of as real as they can be. And I think that was John's plan, to kind of keep cranking us in like rats in a cage. Yeah, it's a fine line. I don't think it's necessarily telling the lie, but the repercussions of that lie. Everyone knows full well if you're keeping a secret from a loved one, mainly not to harm them, that sooner or later that monster's going to keep feeding and growing and growing. And just like in this movie, the ripple effect is going to be, exponentially bigger than if you just kind of man up on the day and tell them.
Right. You tell your grandma you like that casserole, she's going to keep making that casserole.
That's exactly right. And you're going to keep eating it and eating it and eating it.
Their assignment had been to capture the surgeon of Birkenau, a man whose sadistic experiments left thousands disfigured or dead.
It's a brave thing you're doing.
I'm not brave. I'm terrified.
We take him back alive.
But I will say, I do love seeing the different generations of agents in this movie working, especially the previous generation, because you realize how many different problems they had that they don't have today. For you as an actor, what are some of the problems that the previous generation of actors had that you're glad that you don't have to deal with anymore?
Sexism. And sexism.
When do you think, when did that stop being a problem?
I think it's still a little bit of a problem, actually. I'm not saying it's totally gone away, but I would say in the last 15, 20 years, it's really begun to change substantially. I'm thrilled on the film I'm working on at the moment. For the first time that I've ever seen it, we have a lot of women on the Sparks. In England, we call them Sparks, on the electrical department. On Arthur, it was an all-female camera crew, and that was really great to see. That was the first time I'd seen that. So, things really are changing. In the last 10 years, in my profession, I think things are really beginning to move, finally. It's taken It's only taken 50 years, you know, but it's finally changing.
We'll show the world what he did.
You're trembling? I think you're the one that is afraid, David. Afraid of the monster.
We followed.
Oh, God.
I will say after the movie, it was so interesting because there was such a debate that was ignited with all the press where we were discussing the importance of a lie and the importance of truth. For you, would you rather be comforted by a lie or would you rather have your heart broken by the truth?
Oh, I want my heart broken by the truth.
Really?
I
Why
have
is
to
it?
say by the truth. I don't want my heart broken.
Right.
But yeah, you know, I think living a life of truth is the only way to live. I mean, otherwise you're not really alive, are you? Sometimes, even when something's difficult to hear, it's good because it means that you're living every single moment. You're a flesh and blood human being with laughter and tears and moment-to-moment changes. So absolutely, I'd want to live a life of truth.
Do you think as a society we like to hear, you know, a legend or a myth more so even if it's not true, just if it helps us sleep at night?
I think so, maybe. I know for myself, like even sometimes when my dad tells me stories, you know, about catching the fish or whatever,
Right,
it's
exactly.
always like, oh, the fish was this big,
Exactly.
you know. So of course, I think as a society, we do celebrate the legend of an experience. And I know that a lot of that I laugh at and love.
Only 4 people know what happened here.
No matter what, the truth stays in this room between us.
What if we could go back? Would it be different?
We can't go back.
We have to deal with it.
What does that mean? Deal with it.
And as you progress through life, do you think it's important or maybe dangerous to look back at the choices that you've made and the ones that maybe you regret?
You will always have made choices that you regret. It's impossible to get through life without that. But the amazing thing about life is that there is always a weird positive side to almost everything, including the darkest, most horrible things that you might have to endure. I mean, I've been very lucky in my life. I haven't had to endure some of the horrors that a lot of people have to endure. But there is a strengthening of character, or there's, you know, very, very often you can find something positive, even in the darkest moments.